Hey, Carmen here. If I am new to you, I am a myofunctional therapist. I am an educator extraordinaire because this is what I do in addition to my global, very large practice where I do myofunctional therapy all around the world. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I do everything to help get the information out there about myofunctional impairment. So, a couple things. So first things first, our new blog dropped today, or my new blog dropped today, and it is talking about your tongue affecting orthodontic treatment. Any of you who know me know that this was my biggest problem. I had braces almost 3 times, but thankfully a nice, lovely orthodontist said, hey, Carm, how about you just fix your swallow and you're not going to have to keep getting braces. So I love that. So that new blog is out. I'm not talking about that today, though. I am going to be talking about the 6 things that really are the sole focus of how I build my practice. So when I was trying to come up with these items, I really do teach 6 things, but I kind of have a twist on it. It depends on who I'm working with. So if I'm working with somebody like a dental hygienist who's in my Myo Mastery Program, I'm teaching them, or if I'm lecturing to like dental hygiene students, I'm teaching them about screening for 6 things. And then when I teach, the lay public, when I'm talking about, different concerns, there's 6 different things, but similar. So I was trying to decide, okay, what direction am I going to take this? Last month, I taught a class called, it was about being a vital healthy person. I'm going to put the link up here to that. A vital healthy person, you absolutely cannot ever be this person if you have myofunctional impairment. So if you want to watch that whole replay, you can watch that here. The link is right here. But I'm gonna really talk about what a hygienist should be screening for, and then I'll throw in a couple different things. So I just didn't know how to tackle it from both directions. So let's just jump in and get started here. So really, first, what I teach in that Vital Healthy Person webinar is the 6 things that you should know about to help you understand your myofunctional impairment. So I'm obviously not going to be lecturing for an hour and a half. So those 6 things are the airway. So first, let's talk about that. If you have airway concerns, it is not okay to ignore them. The long-term consequences of doing this is so detrimental, and it's expensive. When people reach out to me and they say, hey, Carm, I have all these concerns, but doing something about it is expensive. Doing myofunctional therapy is expensive. I have all of these other health concerns. You might be having concerns that are all just it's a domino effect. So not digging into why you have an airway concern is such a huge, huge thing. Now, this can lead to my next thing, which is a tongue tie. If you have a tongue tie and you have an airway concern, you could have an airway concern because of size of the airway, or you could have an airway problem because your darn tongue is laying there. So I like to say, if you took your foot and you shoved it into a clog that was too small, what's going to be happening back here with the heel? It's going to be hanging off. The same thing is going on in your mouth. If you have a tongue tie and it's just hanging out in the back of your throat, you're going to have a problem. So these are things to be considered. When I talk with hygienists about screening for tongue ties, you guys, it's not always the low-hanging fruit. It's not always people who have an obvious tie. Sometimes this part of the tongue works fine. This is what matters to me because this cannot allow you to swallow properly if this posterior blade of the tongue doesn't work. Many people will say, oh, Carmen, I'm fine. I swallow fine. I have no concerns. And I'm telling you, I will bet the farm. I know that you have a swallowing concern because this doesn't work properly. Okay, so we've talked about airway, tongue tie. Let's talk about sleep now. This is becoming such a norm, and so I lecture on this so much because if you're that person who's just always exhausted, if you're gaining weight, if you're eating a bunch of crap, you have no motivation, you've got anxiety, depression, all of those things, look at your sleep. Now, I do sleep hygiene with my clients, and I just want to go bam when they say, well, I go to bed at midnight and I get up at 5. That's 5 hours of sleep, folks, and that's not enough to get that rejuvenation, that repair, that deep restorative sleep that you need. So many of you are contributing to your own problem, but if you're one of those people who are going to bed and you're in bed for 12 hours and you're exhausted, if you're going to bed and you're sleeping for 10 hours, I mean, our bodies are all a little bit different. So too much sleep and too little of sleep can be a concern. I, in my own personal life, have discovered this recently. My sweetheart has always slept a lot. And there was a time where I just thought, okay, he sleeps more than me. I mean, I am like clockwork, 7.5, 8 hours max. I don't need to set an alarm. That's just how I am. And then most recently, he says that years and years ago, it was suggested that maybe he had mild sleep apnea. And this is one thing that with him, I have seen start to get a little bit worse. And so that's why we were having that conversation. So you don't always have to have had concerns. I just noticed that he's starting to sleep a little bit louder, those type of things. But that would really help explain why he sleeps so much and always feels tired. So sleep, you guys, just quit saying, oh, that's just how I am. I'm going to be, if you look at it that way, 10 years from now, you're going to be 30 pounds overweight. You're going to be on pills, potions, anything. And you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be living and being your best you. So first start at the source of the problem, which can be sleep. And if you're sleeping this many hours a night, darn it, go out there on the internet and look for things like about sleep hygiene. Every single night when I get ready for bed, my body starts to say, yep, I'm sleepy. It's bedtime. Carmen's washing her face, or she's showering. She's putting on her nice jammies. I go to bed, I read. I don't go to bed to watch TV. I don't read emails. I don't look at my phone. I don't do any of that stuff. So if you need help on sleep hygiene, there's a ton of information out there. Next, let's talk about mouth breathing. So this is a big thing that you should be screening for. You cannot be a vital, healthy person if you're mouth breathing. It's going to change the shape of your face. It's going to affect how you get oxygenation. If you're mouth breathing, you're not getting that nitric oxide, which helps the uptake of oxygen into the lungs, which is so important, among other things. So again, if you're a mouth breather, do some research, find it out there. I've got so much information out there. If you start reading my blogs, you're going to find all that stuff. Next is mouth and tongue posture. You would be surprised at how many people are referred to me and they have no idea that there's a certain way that the tongue and the mouth is supposed to be. Tongue, tip to tail, needs to live in the roof of the mouth. So the whole tongue is up. Yes, including this part back here, which goes back to talking about that posterior blade. If this doesn't elevate, guess what? The whole tongue doesn't get lifted. And then mouth posture is mouth closed, lips sealed. When your lips are apart, you decrease the strength of your lips to help act as nature's braces. So I can look at people at the grocery store, the shopping center, and I can pretty much pick out mouth breathers. I can pick out people who have tongue thrust swallowing pattern. I can pick out people who have, I already said mouth breathing, but if I see the shape of their mouth and their lips are parted and their teeth are like buck teeth sticking forward, definitely I can tell that those lips are parted. So when your lips are together, they are strong. And then last is digestion. So many of you have no idea about the connection, especially if you have a tongue tie and you don't like to eat because it's exhausting. You don't want to chew the difficult food. Maybe you don't even chew it fast. So rapid eat, or maybe you don't even chew it and then you swallow it fast. So rapid eating is a huge concern. And I really feel like that's when my clients have the biggest light bulb moments, is when they understand how this and this connect to each other. Rapid eating, not chewing adequately. I want you to chew bilaterally. I want you to chew it. And then you have to pile it correctly on your tongue. And those swallowing mechanics are individual steps. So it's really important to go through that. But so many of you aren't even screening yourself for digestive issues because you think that there's no way that they can be related, and they absolutely can. Some of my most successful cases, and the ones that I am most proud of, are digestive cases. So when I talked about the 6 things, let me just touch on the other 6 things. If you are a dental professional or a speech therapist, you know, everybody's background is a little bit different, but the 6 things that I really want a professional screening for is airway awareness. So that's having the conversations that need to be had, screening for tongue ties, screening for tongue thrust, which again is what's going to push the teeth around. That's the swallowing difficulty, mouth breathing, early ortho referrals, and then it looks like toxic oral habits. So I kind of have 6 depending on who it is. I will be talking here very soon about, well, actually next week, I will be talking about my upcoming webinars that's called Don't Raise Ugly Kids. And I know that's a terrible name, but it's so important. So I'm going to be talking about the things that parents can be doing to screen for these myofunctional impairments. Now, with that said, I'm not going to be live here next week. I will have a recording because I'm going to be at an Airway conference in Nashville. Yay, super excited for that. But at the same time, that video will go live. So if this is you, if I'm talking about these 6 things and you know you have a concern, what do you do? Because this is what a lot of people ask me. You just get started. You have to get started and do something. So I gave you that link if you want to watch the video replay of the Vital Healthy Person webinar. You also, let me put this up here. If you go to the bottom of any one of my blogs, and I have a blog that comes out every week, if you go to the bottom of that blog and sign up, you can get my assessment tool. This is super popular. If you are like me and you want to do some research before you talk to a person, get it. It's going to be 25 of the most important questions that I go through when I'm doing an exam with a client. Maybe you don't want to start there, and that's fine. But figuring out whether you have concerns, if you have any of those 6 things that I just talked about, airway concerns, if you know you have a tongue tie or you suspect it, if your sleep is it's terrible, that's a huge concern. If you're mouth breathing, if you have incorrect mouth and tongue posture, and if you have digestive issues, those are things where you should be saying, got a problem, something's going on here. Regardless, so get your assessment tool. The other thing you can do is it doesn't cost you a dime to talk to me. Everybody can make a free 30-minute visit. And what we do during that time is we talk about if it makes sense for you to have a comprehensive exam. I never want you to pay for an exam and then have me say, oh, I think you're just fine. So, but it doesn't have to be me. I could care less if it's me. What it does have to be is somebody. So find your myofunctional professional. Whether that's in your town, whether that is somebody online, finding that person that you know, like, and trust is super important. You have to be a personality match. Somebody who doesn't like my bold personality or my loud voice or my giggle, that kind of stuff, that I'm not for everybody, but you're going to find somebody that's for you. So if I seem way over the top to you, find somebody. That's the biggest thing. And if you want, you can reach out to me and I can help you with resources to find somebody. That is it. Like I said, I will not be live next week, but I will be talking about the topic, don't raise ugly kids. which is going to be how parents can watch for misguided craniofacial growth, why it's important, different things that you can be doing. And that will be leading up to my webinar that I will be teaching for parents coming up. Has the same name, and so very, very useful information. Last but not least, remember, if any of this stuff that I teach you resonates with you, if you know somebody who could use the information, share it. We're small but mighty, but we're growing. My numbers every week change, and I absolutely love it because my community that I'm serving, you guys are sharing this information and it's getting into the hands of the people who need it. So I have the tongue tie and myofunctional therapy support group. That's a great place to answer questions. I have lots of videos on YouTube. With that said, I will be back live after I get home from Nashville, but you will still have something to watch next week. So have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.